There's lots of ways to change colors, and you can see other people's videos, I'm sure, but this is the way I do it. What I'm going to do is, because whatever you do on the left, you have to do on the right, I change colors not just on one side. A lot of people tell you just change colors on the left. I don't do that. And the reason being is because I use the tail ends that are extra as fringe. So if you're going to have fringe, you can definitely do it on both sides. You just have to remember to do a little bit of weaving as you change colors. So I left off here, and what I'm going to do is go ahead and bring that down, because we never change colors on the top. We always change colors on a side. So we're going to put it around that loop. Now normally I would go back across, but because I'm going to change colors, I bring down a thread, I get my handy dandy scissors, and I cut enough that is going to be fringe. I stick a knot in the bottom because I don't want that to untie later. And I go ahead and pull that yarn out. And we'll use that again later. So we'll go with the light gray. This is a little fatter. And what we're going to do is, because we just wove on the right, we need to weave over here on the left to match it up. So I am going to go the opposite from this corner here. 1, 2, pull this down. And I need to put it on the next peg here, and the next peg here, and I need to pull it across. And I want extra, because now what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie these two. And I don't want them to be so snug that there's no movement, but I want them to be snug enough that nobody goes anywhere. So let me see if I can sneak across here. And it's okay if they don't match up perfectly on how long they are. You can cut your fringe later. I'd rather have more than not enough. So this one will still move because it's attached. This one will not because it's on a peg. So I just tie a little knot. And there's the start of some fringe. Okay, back to this side. So now we've got what happened on that side is over here. And we're going to continue weaving. Over, under, over, under. If you have a question on whether you are supposed to be going under or over, all you have to do is look at what you did on this side of the loop versus what you're doing on that side of the loop. They should always be opposite. Okay, scooching across. Oh, you can tell that's hand spun. Look at that. There is a piece of hay. I raised the alpacas myself, so it's my own fault. Alright, now we're going to do the same thing again. Over, under, till we get to the top. Oops, our thing came undone there. And back across we go. And you continue like this the entire way. The difference being is if you go to add in some really specialty yarns, and you can do that like, let me see what I have over here. I have some single ply core spun, and when you do that, you want to put a knot in the bottom so that wherever your fringe is, it doesn't come undone. And you have to be careful a little bit with the core spun that is a little fluffier, because it can slide around a little bit on the core. So as you're weaving it, you just want to be a little careful. There is also some boucle. Now this is a mill spun commercial boucle that I dyed. And then eventually we'll also weave in some tail spun mohair and maybe some sari silk ribbon and whatever else I find between now and the end. But keep going. Oops, I usually put my hook up there and I lost it. There it is. Okay, we'll keep going and get some of this across. Now usually if I'm doing a lot of color changing, I'll do I've started out with a thinner yarn up here, but then I am changed colors, and I usually do 2 hooks per color. So I've got 2 on this side, okay, and I need 2 on this side, which I'm about to have, which means my color would end here. But I already have a gray strand over here, so I want my color to end over here. And the way to accomplish that is to bring it down and across and have it end on this side. Okay, and what I'm going to have to do is bring this down enough to find my fringe, and that's plenty. I'm going to tie this off. Alright, this comes out, and because I wove on that side, but now I don't have anything woven on this side, I have to weave down to match it up. So we have to pull this new color in. This way you'll be able to see a real color difference. Whoops. Okay. So it has to go around that hook. Tie yourself a little knot. Okay. Now we can start weaving again. So this time I am going under, over, and you'll notice that every time you do it, on one side you'll be doing the under first, and on the other side you'll be doing the over first. So here we go. Now, this boucle is basically a pain in the rear end, but it looks good. And you'll notice that it'll give it a little texture in your yarn, or in your shawlette in this case, but it really is a pain in weaving. Worth it, but a pain. And we'll come back down on this side. Now, why would I end my color on both sides rather than just on one side? When I'm putting the fringe on, and being that I used sometimes leftovers for my yarns, because you know, you always have, I don't know, 15 feet of a yarn left, and what can you do with 15 feet? You can do a stripe. So if I end it on both sides, see, I have the gray here and I have the gray over here, but I don't have enough to make extra fringe later on the outside with it to distribute that color. I want that color in both ends, just in case. Okay, so back down we go. Did I mention this boucle is a pain in the butt? Just in case you missed that first time. Come here, boucle. Okay, there we go. I have 2 hooks of boucle over here, and you can take this little pick and slide your stuff over. You'll notice when you're using really thick yarns that you have to do a lot of sliding around, versus with the thinner yarns you can pretty much line them up. Okay, if I come down one more time and end over here, I'll have a matching set for this one. I kind of use my finger to poke the yarn down. Now notice my hook. There we go. And we want to pull it down a little further than normal because we want some fringe. There we go. Get that out of here. On to the next. How about some dark gray? See, I just have a little ball of this left, so we're going to throw it in here, always over the top. Oh, you know what? Let's do this, because that way you can see the difference. This is going to be a single ply core spun, made out of alpaca. It's a little slippery. We've already woven on the right, and we've ended it here. So we need to weave on the left and bring it across. So let's go. Okay. And not quite enough, so we'll pull down a little more. Go around our peg and scooch across. A little more. And just be careful about sliding your core spun around because you don't want to snag it. Okay, that should do it. Let me tie that off. Okay, that's okay, it's got a little sag here. It'll pick it up as we start weaving. And we can tighten it up here. Okay, and we're all set over there on trying to stay as aligned as we can. So we'll start weaving again. And down we come. Okay, hook it around that one. Now if this were any thicker, we would have wanted to skip a peg because that will allow this to not bunch up so much we lose our texture. Okay, I don't have a terribly huge ball here of this, so we may only want to do one peg. And you'll find that we're starting to snag here. So I just get my handy dollar pick and slide us over. Or if you need to do it to where you adjust them here, you can. And a lot of times you'll find this top rail slides down this top bar and you can pick it up. Now, before we go any further, because this is going to take forever, when you go to pull this off, all these sides, they pop right off, no problem. What you need to worry about is the top. And what you're going to do for that is you take your end loop. Let me come around here so you can see. You take this end loop, put your crochet hook through, pull this next loop, that's this top one, pull that one up, and you will pull this one onto your crochet hook too. And you would take the first loop and pull it through the second. And do the same thing going across. Take the next one, put it on, pull it through. Take the next one, put it on, pull it through. And if you remember doing those pot holders as kids, I'm sure I just dated myself, that's exactly how we took them off. Okay, let's see if we can get us back up here where we belong. Go, and there we go. Now I highly recommend putting your fringe on before you do the thing going across the top. If you do that, you will be able to see each of these individual pegs and the loop that goes with them. So when you go to put your fringe on, let me see if I can cut a piece of fringe here so you can see. Okay, so we'll pretend this is our fringe. And what we'll do is make it into double it over so you have a loop at the top. Put your crochet hook through at one of the pegs, loop on your fringe, pull it through, and then you pull those through the loop and give it a little snuggie, and there's your fringe. That's it. So once you get this top one off, you can just pop the whole thing off going down. So all your fringe will be hanging here. Next we'll do the cut strand method.